Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Administrator McCarthy, for joining us today. Madam Administrator, I'm sure you're familiar with the EPA's proposed rule released last July that proposed new greenhouse gas standards for medium and heavy-duty trucks.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that in the middle of that proposed rule, there's a proposal by EPA to make it illegal to modify vehicles used solely for competition?
No, sir, I don't believe that that's what it says, but I certainly understand the section that you're talking about.
Well, I can read the language to you. It says certified motor vehicles and motor vehicle engines and their emission control devices must remain in their certified configuration even if they're used solely for competition or if they become non-road vehicles or engines. It seems pretty clear to me. In your opinion, are owners of vehicles that have been modified so they can be used for competition now in violation of the law?
Squad, what's the deal, man? It is your boy Knockout 360 with another video for you guys. As you can tell, I'm in a car. That makes this a car vlog. You already know what's going down when I come around. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. First things first, for each and every last one of you guys tuning in for the first time, car content, car shows, car reviews, car meets, anything and everything car related happens on this channel. So if you're into that, make sure that you stick around and you're in the right place, right? For everyone else, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so that you know what's coming out and when it's coming out, right? So let's go ahead and get into it, man. A bit of bad news. Let me make sure you guys are focused on you, boy. Yeah, right there. So a bit of bad news, man. Nothing's concrete, nothing's official. But to my understanding, it has been brought up in Congress as part of kind of an amendment to the Clean Air Act, right? Let's see here. I am on SEMA.com's website, SEMA Specialty Equipment Market Association. You guys already know that. Essentially, an amendment has been proposed to the Clean Air Act to essentially ban street vehicles, cars, trucks, and motorcycles from being converted into race cars, according to the EPA. High level, basically what they're saying is due to some of the emission laws, they're trying to stop cars such as the one that I'm sitting in right now, Dodge Charger Scat Pack 392. They are trying to stop cars such as this one from being able to be modified and converted into more powerful muscle cars, and ultimately just trying to stop cars like this from existing. To my understanding, it has a lot to do with the emissions. That's kind of what the cloak that they're hiding this law under. They want to make it seem like it's an emissions issue because obviously, let's be honest here, there's nothing beneficial or healthy about a V8 engine. I mean, drinks more gas, burns more fuel, and it probably burns more emissions, and, you know, it's simply not good for the environment. What is good for the environment? Electric cars, which is what I'm going to get into eventually. This is the conversation that you and I have had before, even the guys at Dodge. There was a headline article that basically said Dodge boss. They didn't specify what his title was, but he basically said that the V8's days are numbered. And this is something that you and I have talked about. I've talked about it. People have talked about numerous articles, videos, the whole nine. The days of the V8 are definitely limited. When I say limited, I'm not talking 3 to 5 years. I'm more so talking 5 to 10 to 20 years. You know, we are in the last days of the V8 just because everything's switching over. Electric cars are becoming more and more widely accepted by the consumer. It's more gas efficient, more emissions efficient, eco-friendly. It doesn't release any damn thing. It's a damn battery. It's a MacBook Pro on wheels. You know what I'm saying? I picked on GT Stingers about that. I picked on Teslas about that. But the fact of the matter is those cars are the wave of the future. That's where technology, that's where automotive manufacturing is going. Chevy has jumped on it. They've got a Chevy Volt that they're testing out and playing with. Ford has jumped on it. The new Mustang Mach, whatever the hell it's called, is an all-wheel drive electric SUV. They've jumped on the bandwagon, and they're smart because they made it a Mustang. They could have made it anything else, but they made it the most iconic car that they offer, the most readily and widely known car that they offer. They called it a Mustang. That way, when you hear Mustang, you think about the muscle car, but you also have to think about the electric car that they just introduced. Dodge, slowly but surely, we've got like hybrid, e-hybrid systems. Even when we do hybrid, we don't do it right. Like in the Ram, they got the 5.7 hybrid e-torque, whatever the hell they call it. It's still a V8, but it's like it switches over to my understanding. I think it's part electric and part Hemi or whatever the case may be. But long story short, that's where car manufacturers are going. So let's go ahead and get into this law here. So to my understanding, once again, this is very high level. Basically, the new amendment to the Clean Air Act is basically stating that street vehicles, cars, trucks, and motorcycles cannot be converted into race cars, according to the EPA. The EPA has announced that enforcement against high-performance parts, including superchargers, tuners, exhaust systems, is the top priority. Basically, they want to stop cars like ours. And when I say ours, I'm talking big V8, gas-guzzling, smoke-inducing, emissions-violating muscle cars from existing. And that just doesn't pertain to muscle cars. We're talking about your VTEC Honda engines. We're talking about damn Lamborghinis. We're talking about trucks, motorcycles, every imaginable racing or sports enthusiast industry will be affected. And they're trying to stop our cars from existing. There is another kind of a counter argument or counter whatever kind of a counter act that people are kind of throwing at the new emissions law that they're trying to pass. It hasn't been passed. Nothing has been passed. It's called the RPM, Recognizing and Protection of Motorsports Act, where basically everything that I just stated, they're kind of countersuing or counter arguing about, basically. If this law brings one thing to the forefront, it makes it clearer, is that we are in the last days of not only the V8, but just sort of the engine, the traditional engine that we've all known and loved. And I'm talking about V8s. I'm talking about twin turbo V6. I'm talking about VTEC engines, Hemis, LS engines, RPK I'm talking everything that you can imagine. We are in the last days of those engines existing, of the traditional gas-powered automobile. Once it becomes law, once Congress starts talking about it, now 9 times out of 10, this mess that they're talking about is not going to get passed. It's going to get shut down. So don't even trip over that. Don't even trip over that anytime soon. This bullshit's not getting passed. There's so much money in making, manufacturing, producing, distributing cars such as this. And not only that, but you got to think about all of the third-party manufacturers, the exhaust companies, the superchargers, the tuning companies. All these companies have so much money wrapped up into doing shit like that. There's no way in hell that Congress is going to be able to pass that. But it does bring into question the fact that we are in the last days of these types of cars. I mean, especially the V8, more specifically the V8, but in general, just kind of high performance, gas guzzling, gas engine, gas powered cars is what I'm trying to say. Everything's moving electric. The Teslas, those cars smoke HellCats, they smoke Z01s, they smoke GT500s, and they're literally just a battery with 4 wheels. You know what I'm saying? And they're extremely efficient for the environment. They don't emit anything. They're literally just a battery. When have you ever known your MacBook or your phone or your iPad to emit anything into the air other than damn signals and frequencies? But they're much healthier. They're much gas efficient because they don't run on gas. They run on electricity. Slowly but surely, even in Charlotte, I'm starting to see more of those Tesla power stations popping up. There's one right down the street from me. There's one in South Park. Obviously, you can probably charge up your car overnight from your house. So that's a convenience. You're not paying for electricity. To my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but electricity is free to power these cars. It probably won't be in the future because, you know, like I know, any way that they can monetize any goddamn thing, they will. I'm surprised they haven't monetized water. Well, they actually have. I'm surprised they haven't tried to monetize air that we breathe. Just because, like I said, anything that our country can monetize, they will certainly do so. But the fact still remains that they are pushing to get rid of our cars. They're pushing to get rid of high-performance cars, which pretty much spells the end or the coming of the end of these types of cars, guys. You just got to be honest here. The writing's on the wall. It's already been brought up in Congress. People are talking about it. It's one of those things where now we're having to fight. They want you to call in. I'm going to link this SEMA website so that you can, because they want you to call your local, I don't know, Congress official, your local representative, and basically, you know, make your voice heard. But it's a sad day because it lets you know that the end is right around the corner, man. How do you guys feel? Obviously, nothing's going to take place anytime soon. There's way too much money wrapped up in high-performance cars, modifying cars, all that good stuff. There's way too much money in it, so that's not going anywhere anytime soon. But the fact of the matter is that now it has reached a congressional level. It's reached the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. It has reached them, and now it's pretty much at its highest, I guess, law of the land. And once it gets to that point, at that point, it just lets you know that, you know, there are more eyes on this industry than just the eyes of car enthusiasts. At this point, it's people on the other side of it, basically. I mean, you can't shut down a plant, like an entire distribution center or plant, because they're emitting all kinds of pollutants and toxins into the air, but not address the fact that you've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of high-performance engines that are emitting some of the same chemicals and toxins in the air. I mean, you can't have one without the other, simple and plain. And I think a lot of these big companies have started to bitch and moan about the fact that you're going to shut us down. You're going to shut our plant down because we're not compliant with the EPA, but you're letting Dodge produce 800 horsepower V8 cars, knowing damn well that nothing on that car is healthy or beneficial to the community or to the environment. And you're letting them do that because they're making a profit. And, you know, motorsports is something different. A lot of people have started to bitch and moan about that. And now it's got the attention of Congress. This law is obviously not going to get passed anytime soon, but it will be brought up again. It's not going to disappear. It will be brought up again. And at some point or another, there will be concessions made. I mean, Dodge had to go through hell and high water to get the Durango and a HellCat, or get a HellCat engine and a Durango, because of that specifically right there, because of emissions laws. And Dodge has to pay out the ass every single time they bring a HellCat or a Demon or something like that out of the manufacturing plant, because gas guzzler laws, emissions laws, issues like that, they got to pay out the ass for that. And then we have to pay that gas guzzler tax, EPA tax, all that shit. Somehow or another that trickles down to us. So it trickles down to us. Our pockets suffer. Dodge suffers. Eventually, Dodge is going to get to the point where they say, listen, you know, we're done with big Hemis. We're on to electric engines. Electric engines produce way more power than gas-powered cars. Let's keep it real. Teslas, like I say, they smoke the shit out of us every single time. They're heavier than us, less aerodynamic than us, but they still smoke us, you know? The only time that we have a chance with them is when we've got a HellCat that's been heavily modified, 900, 1,000 horsepower plus. That's when we can compete with them. But I mean, at that point, it's like, you got to produce 1,000 horsepower car to keep up with an electric SUV. So the writing's on the wall. The future is around the corner, and this is pretty much what it's going to be, guys.